The 2026 WNBA season didn't just begin. It exploded into existence. From the moment the lights came on for opening night, it felt like the league had officially entered a completely different era. Packed arenas. Celebrity courtside appearances. Record-breaking ticket prices. National TV buzz everywhere. And right at the center of all of it stood the team everyone wanted to see. The Indiana Fever. Because this wasn't just another season opener. This felt like a warning shot to the rest of the WNBA. The Fever entered 2026 carrying more pressure than any team in basketball. Not just because of expectations. Not just because of hype. But because for the first time in years, people genuinely believed this franchise could win a championship. And the reason started with one name. Caitlin Clark. The face of women's basketball. The ratings magnet. The player who changed television numbers, ticket sales, social media engagement, and the entire visibility of the sport. But here's what made this season different. Last year, Indiana was exciting. This year, they're expected to dominate. And that changes everything. The opener against the Dallas Wings instantly became one of the most watched regular season games in league history. Fans weren't just tuning in for basketball. They were tuning in for the future. Clark. Paige Bueckers. Azzi Fudd. Three of the biggest names in women's basketball sharing the floor at the same time. It felt less like a regular season game and more like the beginning of a new super era for the league. And the atmosphere reflected that. The arena was electric before warm-ups even started. Cameras followed Clark everywhere. Every shot during shoot-around got posted online within seconds. Fans screamed during introductions like it was the finals. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. And whether people love it or hate it, it's real. But while the media focused on the hype, basketball fans noticed something else immediately. Indiana looked dangerous. Not perfect, not polished. Dangerous. The Fever were pushing pace relentlessly. Clark was firing cross-court lasers in transition before defenders even realized the ball had left her hands. The spacing looked cleaner. The movement looked faster. The chemistry looked improved. And then there was Aaliyah Boston. Quietly, Boston may become the biggest reason Indiana can actually contend for a title. Because while Clark bends defenses from 30 feet away, Boston punishes teams inside. Together, they create one of the hardest duos in basketball to defend. Double Clark? Boston gets single coverage. Collapse on Boston? Clark destroys you from deep. It's pick your poison basketball. And during stretches of the opener, Indiana looked unstoppable offensively. But there was also another side to the game. The side critics immediately pointed out. Late game execution. Defensive rotations. Turnovers under pressure. There were moments where Indiana still looked young. Moments where the offense became too dependent on Clark improvising miracles instead of running structured possessions. That's the difference between being exciting and becoming champions. Still, even in those shaky moments, the overall message from opening night was crystal clear. Indiana belongs in the contender conversation. And honestly, that changes the entire WNBA landscape. Because for years, the championship picture felt predictable. The Las Vegas Aces were the standard. The New York Liberty were the super team challenger. Everyone else was chasing them. Now, there's a third giant entering the fight. And the scary part for the league is that Indiana may still be improving. That's what made Week 1 feel so important. It wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about identifying which teams look capable of surviving 4 playoff rounds in a completely transformed league. And one team that shocked people immediately was the Atlanta Dream. The Dream came out looking physical, aggressive, and fearless. Their defense was suffocating. Their wing depth overwhelmed opponents. They played with the kind of edge you usually only see from veteran playoff teams. Suddenly, analysts who had Atlanta as a fringe playoff team started reconsidering everything. Because championship teams usually reveal themselves early through identity. And Atlanta already has one. Toughness. Then there's the expansion story nobody can stop talking about. The Golden State Valkyries. Most expansion teams spend their first year simply trying to stay competitive. Golden State apparently skipped that phase entirely. Starting the season strong immediately stunned fans and analysts alike. Their defense looked connected. Their rotations were disciplined. Their energy never dropped. And leading everything was Gabby Williams, who suddenly looks like a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate. What makes Golden State fascinating is their style. They don't overwhelm teams with superstar scoring. They suffocate teams collectively. And in a league where everyone is obsessed with offensive firepower, that defensive identity could make them extremely dangerous by playoff time. But while some teams exceeded expectations, others immediately raised concerns. The Aces still have the best player in the world in Aya Wilson. That alone keeps them terrifying. Wilson continues to look almost unfair at times. Her footwork, her touch, her defensive instincts. The way she controls games without forcing anything. She's still the MVP favorite for a reason. But for the first time in years, the league no longer feels afraid of Las Vegas. That's a huge shift. Teams now believe they can challenge them physically. Outscore them. Run with them. The aura of inevitability is fading slightly. Not gone. But fading. And if there's one team that seems most capable of taking advantage of that shift, it might be Indiana. Meanwhile, the Liberty still look like the most complete roster in basketball. Breanna Stewart remains one of the smartest and most versatile players alive. Sabrina Ionescu gives them elite shot creation. And adding Sata Sabali may have pushed this roster over the top. The scary thing about New York is balance. They don't rely on chaos. They don't rely on one player going nuclear. They simply have answers everywhere. Need shooting? They have it. Defense? Absolutely. Half-court execution? Elite. Experience? Loaded with it. That's why many analysts still believe the Liberty are the safest championship pick entering the season. But the WNBA isn't being driven by safe right now. It's being driven by momentum. And nobody has more momentum than Caitlin Clark. Everywhere Indiana goes, the league feels bigger. Crowds are louder. TV numbers spike. Opposing arenas sell out. Social media explodes after every logo 3. And that spotlight creates something interesting psychologically. Pressure. Massive pressure. Because now Clark isn't just expected to be good. She's expected to carry a franchise, and through 1 week, she's embracing it. The deeper question is whether Indiana's supporting cast can consistently hold up during the brutal middle months of the season. Because playoff basketball exposes everything. Defensive weaknesses. Bench depth. Late-game decision-making. Shot selection. Championship teams survive those moments. Pretenders don't. That's why week 1 matters more than people think. You start seeing habits. You start identifying mental toughness. You start recognizing which teams panic under pressure. And one player who looks completely unfazed by the spotlight is Paige Bueckers. Her transition into the WNBA already looks smoother than many expected. The composure stands out immediately. She never seems rushed. Never seems overwhelmed. It's almost eerie how calm she looks in massive moments. And if Dallas continues building chemistry around her, the Wings could become one of the most dangerous playoff teams in the league by mid-season. That's the biggest difference about the 2026 WNBA. There are no easy nights anymore. The talent explosion across the league is real. Young stars are arriving faster. Expansion teams are competitive immediately. Veteran dynasties are being challenged. And every fan can feel the changing of the guard happening in real time. Which brings us to the biggest conversation after week 1. Who actually wins the championship? Right now, there are probably 3 true top-tier contenders. The Liberty, the Aces, and the Fever. New York has the balance. Las Vegas has the best player. Indiana has the highest offensive ceiling. That's what makes this season fascinating. Because if Clark reaches another level, everything changes. And that possibility suddenly feels very real. Her confidence looks stronger. Her conditioning looks improved. Her chemistry with teammates looks sharper. Most importantly, she looks comfortable carrying expectations. That's scary for the rest of the league, because superstar players usually make their biggest leap right after experiencing adversity. And Clark faced plenty of it last season. Physical defenses. Media criticism. Constant pressure. Veteran resentment. Now she looks ready for all of it. Which leads directly into the MVP conversation. Right now, A'ja Wilson still deserves the top spot. Until somebody dethrones her, she remains the queen of the league. But Caitlin Clark is right there. And if Indiana finishes near the top of the standings, the media narrative around Clark could become unstoppable. Especially if her statistical numbers explode again. Then there's Rookie of the Year. Several newcomers already look ready to contribute immediately, but Olivia Miles appears to have one of the clearest paths to major production. Her pace, passing, and confidence stand out instantly. But don't sleep on Flau'jae Johnson either. Her athleticism and competitive fire could turn her into one of the steals of the rookie class. Defensive Player of the Year may become one of the most competitive races in recent memory. Gabby Williams looks incredible. A'ja Wilson remains dominant. Several young defenders are emerging fast. The league's overall defensive intensity honestly feels higher than ever. And maybe that's because the stakes are higher than ever too. Women's basketball is no longer asking for attention. It already has it. Now the conversation is about legacy. Dynasties. Super teams. Rivalries. And who becomes the face of the next era. That's why the Fever matters so much. Love them or hate them, they represent the future direction of the sport. Fast-paced offense. Superstar marketing. Young stars. National attention. And enormous expectations. The biggest question now is whether they're ready to handle all of it. Because talent gets you headlines. Championship composure gets you trophies. And over the next few months, we're about to find out if Indiana truly has both. One thing already feels certain after week 1 though. This may become the most important WNBA season ever. Not because of hype, because of transformation. The old hierarchy is shaking. The next generation has arrived. And the race for the throne officially began the moment the ball tipped opening night.